Welcome to Sector Report. This week, Muraka, New Zealand's first majority Maori-owned dairy factory, is already cracking our key global markets. Waikato's District Council runs into farmer resistance over tougher new stock movement bylaws for Franklin. And milk for schools, Fonterra versus farmers. Is it win-win for all?
We live in the land of milk and honey. Why can't we share a little bit more of the milk and honey that we have?
Is it just a publicity stunt for the country's biggest company, a way to hook more young consumers? For the first time in nearly half a century, Kiwi kids will be drinking milk at school, courtesy of farmers and Fonterra. More than 10,000 Northland students will now start their day with a glass of milk as part of Fonterra's newly rolled out pilot program. It's free for the kids, but not for the farmers, with Fonterra digging deep to cover costs of transport, storage and recycling. If it goes well this year, they plan to expand it nationwide next year. Our rural affairs correspondent Drew Chappell was in Northland when the mighty Fonterra milk machine rolled into town.
1, go. 2, 3.
These kids are making New Zealand history. They're drinking the first free cartons of school milk in more than 45 years. Has everyone been talking about it for a while?
Yep, whole class.
What's your favourite drink?
Probably this now.
In the old days, it was the taxpayer who footed the bill for the children, courtesy of the New Zealand government. But not anymore. For 30 years, every New Zealander attending primary school between 1937 and 67 received a pint bottle of the white stuff every day, like it or not.
This is the first time for 50 years I have drunk milk out of a little bottle like this. There seemed to be some type of regulation that said to the school, you have to keep it sitting in the sun for 2 hours before the children drink it.
This time around, however, it's the country's largest company stepping in to fill the breach, kicking off a pilot program to test the waters, or should that be the milk? The program's kicking off here in Northland, home to some of the country's most remote and lowest decile schools. In all, 102 schools have signed up for the program. That's more than 10,000 kids, all drinking Fonterra's milk.
We chose Northland more of a geographical area we could work on, a real mix of schools from small to big, but it's not lost on us that there's a reasonable amount of poverty in the Northland area, and we'd like to think that contributing milk in schools will really help start to turn the dial.
In years to come, when there's a question, when was free milk reintroduced into New Zealand? We will remember it was the 19th of March, 2012. Where was it reintroduced? It was in Taitokerau. And what school had the official launch? It was Manaia View. And all of you here will be able to say, I was there for that day.
The pilot will be used largely to test out the logistics of an expanded operation and iron out any kinks in the supply, storage or waste collection and recycling chain. Just how much all this will cost, Fonterra isn't saying, but they are looking for help once the program gets underway.
It is a significant investment, and we're looking for partners to come on board to help it make it successful and sustainable in the future. But bringing through those future generation of milk drinkers is, we think, a good thing, and it's also really beneficial for their health and well-being, and sets them up for a better start in life.
The milk program has had plenty of critics, with some describing the trial as an expensive public relations stunt. But whatever the motivation, it's garnering widespread support from those cashing in.
The fact that milk contains 200 natural nutrients and helps us to release energy from our food will, I am sure, give a boost to our kids as they settle to learn each day.
Leanne Otini, Manaia View School Principal, says for Northland schools, educating kids about what they eat and drink is as important as any other subject they're learning in the classroom. Especially in these tough economic times when many families struggle to put healthy food on the table.
Nutrition is hugely important to us here at the Naya View School. We see good nutritional practice as forming habits, lifetime habits for these children. So by giving them milk every day, we're actually doing two things. First of all, we're helping them to meet the New Zealand health guidelines around having 2 to 3 glasses a day, so we're helping there. And secondly, we're forming those habits that milk is good for you, but it also tastes good.
Recent price rises at the supermarket may prohibit many families from supplying their kids with the recommended amounts of dairy, especially in areas such as Northland, where unemployment and child poverty are both high.
It's been a real problem for quite some time, and I guess that was because, you know, with the growth of soft drinks, milk consumption declined almost inversely.
The scheme has received the thumbs up from experts too. Food nutrition lecturer Dr. Carol Wam has studied the effects of milk during the early years of life and says its effects on developing minds and bodies can't be overstated.
Because it really sustains, you know, life, you know, for infants. What's unique about it is that it's nutritionally complete. So it contains this amazing mixture of macronutrients, carbohydrate, protein and fat in just the right proportions, and micronutrients as well, vitamins and minerals.
But what of those supplying the stuff? Our dairy farmers. Fonterra has 10,500 members throughout the country, some of whom have voiced their opinion, pretty vocally, in opposition. Federated Farmers Share Milking President Kieran Tully has heard from some of those opposed, but believes most are now behind the Milk in Schools project.
I think there's always going to be people that are against that sort of thing, but you look at the overall cost to Fonterra, that they haven't really stated how much it's cost. But in the big picture of things, you know, New Zealand's milk consumption is only 5% of total Fonterra production, so it's a small part of a small part, really.
In terms of overall milk consumption, Kieran Tully says the impact of Fonterra will be minimal, but that shouldn't be the focus.
I think you look at 10,000 children receiving, you know, 250 mils. It's 2,500 litres a day of milk initially. It's only a small part of some farms' production for the day. So on the big picture of things, it's a small amount to put in.
From a wider perspective, the top man at Fonterra is keen to sell the program to its shareholders.
It is our Fonterra. It's us. It's the country. It's the family, and we make a difference in the world, but also for the country.
3 days after the pilot program launch up north, CEO Teo Spearings was in Rotorua, telling hundreds of dairy farmers at the Dairy Women's Network conference that he's keen to roll out the program nationally because it's good for the community and good for the company.
People should be able to afford milk in retail, and people should have, or our children should come back on milk. So it's basically two things we want to achieve here, and both will lead to consumption growth rather than decline. So in the end, it's a long-term investment for Fonterra. We get our consumers back, and they will be buying our brands in the longer term. Short term, the children and the communities benefit because milk becomes available, and in schools it's even free.
Today's the first day. There's been a difference of opinion in the shareholder base, but people are now really starting to see how well this might do. Great thing about being here today was seeing the kids so excited about having their milk, so excited sitting down, drinking it all. There was a number of people who were concerned because it's UHT milk that the kids might get a taste problem. I never saw one kid's face squirm as they drank it. Fantastic sight to see one little boy there just reading his book, sucking away at his bottle of milk, at his carton of milk. Yeah, no, really great morning. Great.
As a PR move, giving free milk to school kids can only be described as an unbridled success, while as a business move, questions remain. Whatever happens in the meantime though, these children will be lapping it up.
Drew Chappell reporting. Up next, after less than a year's operation, New Zealand's first majority Maori-owned dairy factory is cracking major global export markets. Stay with Sector Report. A new state-of-the-art $90 million dairy processing plant, Mokai, near Taupo, is a real pioneer in many senses. Majority Maori-owned Maraca, it means milk, took 8 years to plan. But in less than 7 months, Maraca is well on its way to processing 210 million liters of milk a year. And its sustainable management practices mean solid wastes are used to feed a very valuable worm farm operation. Maraca dairy products are already being marketed to Vietnam, China, Taiwan, Malaysia, the USA, the Middle East, Australia, and the Pacific. Now it's planning its first steps into India, the world's largest milk producer. So how did this amazing growth story start? Maraca director John Packey joins David Anderson now.
John, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So tell me, what enabled this complex international organisation to be formed?
Vision, foresight by the hapu and whānau of the Mokai area, who saw the return of their lands in the 70s and 80s back into their control, and taking a long-term intergenerational view. How are they going to retain those lands? How are they going to build the asset? And what does the future hold for them?
So the plant is based at Mokai, which is northwest of Taupo. Is the milk coming just from that region, from around the Taupo region?
Well, I think the issue is larger than milk.
Right.
You come into Mokai, you come down the road, you turn right. There's the marae.
Right.
That's where the foundations for this whole development of the Mokai area occurred. Across the road is the school. Further down is the village. Less than a K, you have a 110 megawatt geothermal energy power station. Across the road, you have the state-of-the-art, one of the most modern milk processing factories in the world. Next door to it is 20 acres plus of greenhouses producing capsicums and tomatoes. And next door to that is an earthworm farm.
So this is all part of the organisation?
This is all part of the development in Mokai. And that's why I said it was the vision and foresight of Kaumatua, who were very brave in venturing outside of the farm gate. They wanted to run a business model that they had control of the business and the processes, an integrated model that was profitable, sustainable and enduring.
It sounds like a very unique setup what you've done. I mean, you require something like 210 million litres of milk a year. You use some of your own cows, 10,000 cows, but you need 55,000 cows to supply. How has that other supply been met?
Oh, that supply has been met just in quick numbers. There's actually 6 dairying shareholders,
right?
Which the major one is Wairarapa Moana, which for the 2012 milking season will have something like 11,000 cows. Waipapa Incorporation will have something like 3,000 cows. So it gets you 14, and 3 other entities run about 2,000 cows each. So you get between 20 and 22,000 cows. The balance for the 2012, we expect to have at least 45,000 cows, which is taken up by other Maori trusts and corporations and other non-Maori farmers in the area.
Now I understand you've just been to India.
Yes.
What's happening over there, and what's the relationship with the company into India?
Well, the New Zealand's vision for 2015 is that India will be a core trading,
right,
economic and political partner for New Zealand. And to that end, they're currently in negotiations for a free trade agreement, which have significant impacts in the agricultural sector, where tariffs range from 60% for milk powder, 50% for apples, and 5% for coal. So there's some immediate first up benefits of this free trade agreement for New Zealand. We're getting in on the ground floor by starting by building a relationship. We entered into a memorandum of understanding with Gopalji Dairy, which is a well-respected member of the dairy industry in New Delhi.
Right.
And why we entered into this is to understand why we intend to do business with each other, to develop that relationship. The Memorandum of Understanding basically sets out to explore new frontiers for collaboration and business. to continue to commit to business excellence, quality, innovation, international cooperation, to foster development, research and innovation, and to share best practices with each other.
The company, plays on very strong Maori values and also recycling, renewable sustainability. Now, we see that as a really important going forward to the future. Do you see that as a real advantage for the company?
Overall, in the long term, it will be a strategic advantage for the company. But our immediate objective is, with our suppliers, shareholders and staff, to ensure that a premium is placed on environmental sustainability. We're working the one farm concept, which means that it does not matter whether you are a state-of-the-art 1,500 cow farm, 60 rotary bales shed, high tech, or you coming with your 200 cow herringbone. We're there for the same objective, and that's to meet high environmental standards that we are setting, to ensure that the environment is protected for future generations, and that's why we talk about intergenerational focus. What is important is that the local people have a say. You protect the land and the land will look after you.
Yes.
And I think it's extremely sensitive, and the company is extremely sensitive to the desires of the people.
Right. And just finally, future international expansion, other areas you're looking to go to?
We're always looking for markets, and the important part is finding the right partners, and that's why we entered into the memorandum of understanding, so we can explore each other's. We can find out about each other. We understand why we want to do business. We understand the business environment of India. We need to understand the culture of India. So when the relationship is settled, then we can move to collaboration and eventually to partnership.
Great. Well, it sounds like a real success story. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
John Packey, Director of Maraca Limited, our first majority Maori-owned dairy processor. Coming next, what's got Franklin dairy farmers threatening rebellion against Waikato District Council's new stock movement bylaws. It looks like there's a bit of a rebellion brewing among the dairy farmers of Franklin, an area of the Auckland region that was merged with Waikato District during the formation of the new supercity. Auckland Federated Farmers has called for Waikato's new permit-based stock movement bylaw to be scrapped. The feds are encouraging Franklin farmers to resist the new council's call for them to apply for permits before the new bylaw comes into force on the 1st of July. They say the Minister of Transport has agreed to consider using his power to disallow the bylaw. But since they're not here today for some reason, we're about to take up their concerns with the Deputy Mayor of the Waikato District Council, Dines Fulton.
Dines, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, perhaps a bit of background. Can you explain to us actually what this new bylaw is about and how it came about?
Well, how it came about was the Waikato District Council had a bylaw that was introduced in 2006 about stock movement bylaws, and it had come up for review in 2010. Because of the amalgamation of the super city in Auckland, the Franklin area that came into the Waikato after the 1st of November, we delayed doing anything about that because they thought we will be one district and there's no point in having two different bylaws to operate. So this is one of the first ones of the bylaws that we actually had to bring and combine into one bylaw. So we delayed it until after the amalgamation of the councils on the 1st of November 2010, and then we went through the process of reviewing the Waikato District Council's bylaw and incorporating the Franklin's bylaw to form one new policy for the whole of the district. We see ourselves as one council, and we just wanted to start off by having one common policy across all.
Oh, okay, so previously was there two different bylaws operating across the old Franklin Council as opposed to Waikato?
Yes, the Franklin Council had just done their bylaw in 2010. It was a little bit unfortunate because it was so very current to them having developed their bylaw.
Yes.
And ours was 2006, which came up for review, so therefore that's how it happened.
So what was the impact or the consultation with federated farmers and farming groups? Was that quite extensive?
Well, it was in the in the process, and we tried to keep them informed and consult with them. And I think we had some very positive outcomes to that consultation. The Waikato District bylaw was modified quite a substantial amount actually as we went through the process, and I think we ended up with a very good process at the end of the day.
When you looked at implementing the permit system, did you look at other councils, what they do, and do you know how many other councils use permits and others use bylaws?
Well, we didn't really go to other councils extensively because we were very clear what we were intending to do. Okay, just going back to 2006, sure. What the Waikato District took the approach that because of the amount of complaints we were getting from stock crossing roads and messes and everything else and yes. Not being controlled particularly well, we set out a goal, if you like, to have all stock off the Waikato District Council roads by 2016 by using underpasses. Now, yes. That was the goal. Knowing it would never ever be fully achieved because a large amount of it wouldn't need to be complying to that extent. But that was the goal, and we've done very, very well about working down that track as well. I mean, just at the moment, I can tell you we've got 115 underpasses in the Waikato District and we've got 10 in Franklin area. So we've significantly got down that track.
And how those underpasses, are they put in by the council or farmers themselves?
No, the farmers install them. We support it by a subsidy, okay. And we encourage it. Right at the moment, we've only got about 6 or 7 left that we're really dealing with now that are really needing to be complied with by 2014. And so we're very, very happy about our achievement of getting down that track. What
was the major complaint or the major issue with the stock movements? Was it the stock on the road and slowing down traffic, or was it the mess they left behind, or what was the issue?
Well, it's a combination of all that.
Right.
You know, as a district council, we're the rating consulting authority, yes. And we've got to make sure that we have a fair and open process for everyone. The roads are principally for vehicles and for movement of vehicles. We're not trying to stop stock crossing the road. We're not trying to put inhibitors in places for farmers, but it needs to be controlled in a very fair manner that's fair to all ratepayers, fair to all road users. And the management of the stock crossings is something that has been significantly improved on. A lot of that comes about also by the safety aspects, and we're responsible for the safety of our roads. We're also responsible for what happens on the roads. And farmers and so on are getting a lot better at managing that safety issue as well. I mean, like just having very common stuff like fluoro jackets and lights for warning lights and cones on the road and things like that. And there's a responsibility to the staff of all these farms that are operating to have safety issues accommodated as well. So. It's a safety issue and it's for the best use of all ratepayers, really.
Right. Now, I understand the permit system doesn't come until 1 July, so why is there some issue if farmers don't start applying for the permits now that they're in trouble with breaching it? Is that?
Well, the issue, and we did consult extensively on this at the time, when we come to a compromise thinking the best solution was to implement the Waikato District Council's one on the 1st of November 2011, and we got another 8 months for a transition for the Franklin farmers to get themselves up to speed, realise what the new bylaw meant for them, realise that they had to apply for a permit. And what we were trying to do, we've never ever said that we would issue them before the 1st of July. What we want to do, and we've just gone out on consultation now to try and get people to thinking about if they're going to require a permit. Not every farmer is going to require one. Right. Those that do, we want them to come and talk to us now, sort of say this is the application, and we will have them all so we can actually get them all lined up and processed so they can be issued on the 1st of July. And that's what we really want to do. We're just trying to encourage a smooth process. You've got to be very pragmatic about this. And so we think that we're now, and I think for farmers, between March, April is a really good time, reasonably relaxed on farms and workloads are not so high. And I think that this is the time they should be thinking about getting themselves organised for the 1st of July. And they can apply for them now and we'll process them and issue them after the 1st of July.
So do you have any idea of the number of farmers that may be affected, or do you have numbers of that? Or?
No, we don't have. We have had a considerable number that we've talked to already, and they will keep coming forward, and that's what we're just trying to encourage them. No, we don't know the numbers, and until they apply, well, we aren't aware of that. But we've already worked through with some farmers and giving them some very clear instruction about what they might be able to do.
And so what would happen with those recalcitrant farmers who won't comply? What will happen to them?
Well, we'll work our way through with them and try and work through a process to talk to them and get them to comply over a period of time. we're not going out heavy-handed. We're not going out looking, but I think that we will become aware of people that don't have permits after a period of time, and we'll be really talking quite with them to get them on side.
Dines Fulton, Deputy Mayor of the Waikato District Council, with David Anderson. And that's all for this week. Next week, Drew Chappell investigates whether New Zealand's hard-pressed avocado industry has a recovery strategy after a swamp of low-priced fruit from Australia. Remember, you can check out all of our programming and give us feedback anytime online at country99tv.co.nz. Thanks for your company. I'm Genevieve Westcott for Sector Report. See you next week.